Thank you very much, Shona, for that intro, and thank you to the No Ties team for allowing me to be the speaker this month. As I said, my profession is I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, cognitive behaviour hypnotherapist. My first introduction to hypnotherapy was by my GP over 30 years ago. And that had a huge impact on me. So that when I realised that I wanted to make a change of career, I hit one of these big birthdays. It wasn't 30, it wasn't 50, pick the middle one. When I hit that, I realised that I wanted to be a therapist. I knew hypnotherapy was going to be in that. So I moved from financial services, corporate training, into becoming a therapist. And I have been a therapist now for over 22 years. I started my training in massage, not in hypnotherapy. And my training was the basis for the Western massage, which was Swedish massage. Unfortunately, it didn't have any ABBA songs in the curriculum. It was a wee bit disappointing, but never mind. But that sowed the seed for me on the basis of all the massage in there. And the interesting thing about that was that when I left school, I wanted to be a physio. But I didn't get my higher maths, so didn't get into uni at that point. And that was long before gap years or anything like that were mentioned. So work that out, financial services to physio, never mind. But I always knew that within the massage, that was going to be part of the thing that I wanted to build on the whole of my portfolio of complementary therapies. And when I started doing that training, it allowed me to then use my existing training skills, because I always believe there's never an experience wasted, use my training skills, and then I became a lead tutor for future therapists. And that allowed me then to share my passion of anatomy and physiology, which absolutely fascinates me, always has done. It was in that very first lecture, and I am going back, as I say, 2001, that the whole ethos of my business was actually set, because it was there that I started to understand the mind-body connection. And in that first lecture, we were told you cannot work on the body without influencing the mind, and you cannot work on the mind without influencing the body. That has stuck with me the whole way through everything that I've done. And in there, 3 years later, I then started my hypnotherapy training. So that started to enhance it, and it built that circle coming all the way through. So within that, building up the portfolio for the different training, it brought the mind-body connection. And now everything that I do has always been mirrored to there. And in the last few years, I've been bringing that in and heightening it more, almost niching that. I'm often asked what hypnosis is. And hypnosis is the state between being asleep and being awake. So you're kind of in the middle here. And there's different theories, established theories, saying it's like an altered state of consciousness. Now, before you think that sounds just a wee bit wacky, it's something that if you've ever lost yourself in a book, in a film, in a piece of music, or dare I say, scrolling for hours on the internet, time you never get back again, you've probably done it in hypnosis. And it is something that we all go into and we do several times a day. And what hypnotherapy does is that it uses the hypnosis to bring about change for therapeutic benefit. And that is over a range of conditions that I can help people with, physically and psychologically, because remember, they're all connected. So things like anxiety, phobias, pain management, preparing for medical procedures, just, performance enhancement, so many things you can probably have a use within the hypnotherapy and the cognitive. And a wee bit on the cognitive is just in a nutshell, if you're thinking about things slightly, if you're thinking about things differently, acting differently, then your emotion is going to change. And it's only when the emotion changes will you then get different results. So the thing about the hypnosis, as I say, you get no clucking chickens with me. You don't end up eating an onion thinking it's an apple. That's the stage lot. And believe you me, they want their 5 minutes of fame. So that's just a wee bit of a background into there. In 2020, I took a complete change, and I actually stopped practicing my remedial massage. And the remedial massage that I did was the type of stuff that dealt with all the aches and pains that you can have, postural, muscular, and also in the osteo as well. And I had to make that change, like so many other businesses, personal reasons, and to let it go and then move all my business online to work as I do the hypnotherapy, the cognitive, i.e. the talking therapies, but also bringing in, doing presentations, and that is an area then now I can do them back in person. But one of the things that really I realised that practicing in that, everything that I did within that time, nothing is wasted. And that when I was practicing remedial massage, all the aches and pains, when you're feeling not at your best physically, how can you expect to feel at your best psychologically? You're not going to feel as upbeat and as sharp as you want to be. Likewise, if I'm working with someone, say, with a phobia that's dominating their life, then they are not going to be at their best physically. They're probably going to be feeling really tired and postural. They'll probably have aches and pains as well. There's a common ground between physical and psychological, and that is relaxation. And this is why I chose to do a wee session on this. Now, it's a huge topic, so I'm just going to give you a bit of a flavour for the different things we can bring in. But relaxation is actually fundamental to us all. And one of the things that I think I said at the beginning in the profile, in the posting for this going out, is it something you just associate with holidays? Or is it something we really should be having every day? So hopefully after we talk here, it might make things a bit clearer for you, or might make you look to try and achieve it a wee bit more. So I did ask you a question. Apologies again to Karen and Ben. But I asked you, what activities do you associate with relaxation? And if you can you just pop some in the chat box now, please? And I'll try and have a wee look at them and see what everybody has come up with. Ah, great. Julia has got mountain biking with pals. Denise and Joy have got reading. And Denise has also got going for a walk. We've got walking coming in. Jonah, thank you. Patrick, hiking, wild camping, music. Great. Bradley's got a lot. Jin's got reading. Fantastic. Swimming. Great. So that's really interesting to see all these different activities coming in. Oh, Carolyn. Oh, you're a gal of my own heart, relaxing with a G&T. Well, there you go. You've got 2 or 3 a day because you've got juniper and you've got your lemon. Stick a lime in it, you've got 3 out of 5. Sorted. So there's a lot of different activities. One for me would certainly be walking, especially with my daughter's dog, Ellie, Miss Ellie. I like to take her. And she did actually get a wee bit of my presentation this morning. So she got an extra treat. I don't know if she liked it or no. But the interesting thing there is there's a few that have come in there sitting nice, reading, quiet, but also being able to go out and do physical. And that is really interesting because this links in to almost like how we define what relaxation is. And I do like when I'm doing something like this is to get out the dictionary and to just get some dictionary definitions. And one that I picked up with this one was relaxation. It is the state of being free from anxiety and tension. And that leads very nicely into what I'm then going to be talking about. Another one that he came up was rest and refreshment. There's a gin and tonic. You know, Carolyn, you must have got that one. That's a brilliant one. But the other one that I saw that I thought was quite interesting was the action of making a rule less strict or restrictive. And that brought me back to thinking about the COVID days and remember what that was like, when we couldn't get out and we were told we couldn't do this, we had to be 6 feet apart from people, 2 meters, 6 feet apart from people. How restrictive was that physically, but also in our mind as well, and the pressure that put on. So brings me into the fact of the sort of key points. Now, here's a wee insight from me as well. I'm not doing slides today. If I'd done slides, I'm afraid the relaxation in me wouldn't have been congruent at all. But what I have done is prepared a wee handout for you, which that will get sent to you from the team. But the first point I want to bring in is about anxiety and relaxation cannot coexist. You're in one state or the other. Now, that has taken me years to actually accept. But the reason for that is that if we think about it, a phrase that we'll often say is, well, I'm okay, but I'm just a wee bit anxious, just a wee bit anxious. Well, you're actually anxious. Doesn't matter what level you're at, you're actually a wee bit anxious. You are still anxious, so you're not then relaxed. And the thing with that is that we can use that wee bit anxious. It's how we use it that will then enhance whether or not we're effective or not. So the next point I want us to think about is that we can't fully understand relaxation without understanding what anxiety is. Now, I know, we've got Jen on today's session today, and she's got a book about emptying the stress bucket. So she does a lot within the anxiety thing. And I'm just going to pick up a wee flavour of this because it is a huge topic, but it's something that has been part of my therapist career all through my life. I've also got a lot of personal experience with it. But if we think about anxiety, anxiety is a feeling. So it's an emotion. And it's a feeling that occurs when you're under threat. It is an emotion that responds to fear. Now, that fear can be real or it can be perceived to be real, i.e., you can imagine it. Now, if you've got a real fear, this response, this anxiety response, keeps you safe. It puts you on the best high alert so that you can get yourself out of and deal with that particular fear. And I'm thinking if a real fear would be something like if you're in a burning building and you have to get out fast. And I have to say, I've been in that situation, had a major house fire, kitchen went up, and by God, that's a real fear. That is horrendous. So what the other one is, though, is the perceived fear, which I'm going to come back to in a wee moment. So the response that I'm talking about here is one that I'm sure you're all familiar with, called fight, flight, or freeze. And it's a response that's talked a lot about. But I would like to talk about in the basis of what it actually does to us as a human being, on the basis of how it affects us with body chemistry, and in terms of how it affects then your body systems. And when I'm talking about body systems, I'm talking about cardiovascular, so your heart and your lungs. I'm talking about how it will also work with the musculoskeletal, so your muscles, and your also to do with your how your bones work in conjunction. So I'm talking about those things. But the thing with that is that it does go back to the days of Fred Flintstone and his pal Barney Rubble. And thankfully, we have progressed a wee bit for Fred and Barney's days. But, brains are more developed. Our vocabulary is much improved from a jabba dabba doo. We've kind of moved a wee bit for that. But also the other thing is that we can decide whether it's real or not. And in Fred and Barney's days, the threats were generally always real. They didn't have our perception of what is a perceived threat. So they either faced the mammoth, and if they were able to kill the mammoth, that's fine. Their family, Wilma, and I've forgotten Barney's wife's name. So anyway, but they all survived. But if not, if the mammoth then eat them, then that's them wiped out. That was a real threat to them. But the problem with that is that it's only there for a short-term survival, and that in that term is short-term survival. If we think about what a perceived fear is, the to-do list, the emails, somebody else's LinkedIn profile opposed to your LinkedIn profile. How many hits are they getting and you're not getting? So what are the other worries that then concerns you? That are they really real? Are they really life or death situations? And unfortunately, coming alongside our intelligence comes alongside all that other stuff. So what the fight or flight does is that it really does put us in that, let's survive this. So it changes the body systems and the chemistry. So for instance, our blood pressure goes up because it's getting more blood into us. Our eyes are wider so we can see what's going actually, the eyes will start to dilate. Because there's more blood coming into our muscles, then our temperature generally goes up. Throw in if you're menopausal, God, you've got a double whammy. Adrenaline then comes in. That's your Zoom that's going to get you going. But the other thing it does is that it switches off different other parts of your system. Digestive, you're generally, at that point, what it will do is that it'll probably a slight urge to empty any contents that you have. And that makes it easier to run away because you're lighter. So also the reproductive system generally shuts down. If you're facing a muckle big mammoth, you're not exactly amorous at that point. So there's certain systems will certainly shut down. And why is that important for relaxation? Because at that point you think, hey, I'm not want to chill out at this point. But relaxation then aims to bring the body systems and chemistry back to a basis. So if you think that you're on high alert up here, relaxation's down here, because remember, you can't coexist. You want to try and bring that level back up. And it often takes a while to come back to balance. But what it's looking to do is to then bring it back to what's known as homeostatic balance, just to equilibrium that works 24/7, 365 days a year. Now, what the relaxation does is that when it senses that that particular anxiety response, the reason you went into that mode has moved, the stressor's moved, then what it does is that then can calm you down. That's where the short-term survival comes in. Problem that happens to us now as human beings is that we go in and out of that. So the relaxation mode really can't do its job to start to dampen down those symptoms. And what happens is that the body has to adapt. And that's when we then start to get certain conditions developing in ourselves. Things like increased blood pressure, chronic muscle aches and pains, headaches, eye strain, lack of energy, tiredness, and many more. Skin conditions for inflammation developing. So what it then does is it has a knock-on effect on our ability to repair and heal ourselves. And that's what an immune system does. So relaxation plays a huge part in bringing all that back down to try and diffuse it, because if not, what happens is that the body goes through this adaptation process and it then puts everything working on a higher gear. So if you think that if you worked a piece of machinery the whole time without giving it a break, eventually some parts would start to knock off. So I'm going to have a wee think about into that. So that's the one thing that is really important. And I'm going to be out here and say, if you're not able to get that calming physical part into your body, that's when illnesses and disease get a hold. Not to scaremonger, but that's what's happened. And that's why things like anxiety, stress, chronic aches and pains has such a knock-on effect on our well-being for everything. So it is important to get those relaxation things in, and not just for the nice to have, but to be able to build them up and improve what's going on inside internally. So also, if you think of what the word disease is, it's not at ease. There's a wee bit of my play of words again. So it is, when we think about that, really quite interesting, and to be quite mindful about that. So let's do a wee comparison here. Just do a wee show of hands if you are a driver and you own your own car. Oh, quite a few of us. Right? Okay, thanks. Now, as a driver and as you've got your car, every vehicle, and I have to say vehicle because it could be a van or a lorry or whatever you've got, every car, every vehicle has got to be, when it comes to its third birthday, it has to go through an MOT. Now, the reason it has to go through an MOT is to make sure that it's actually roadworthy. Why is that? Because if it wasn't roadworthy, it might have defects and it might be more likely to have an accident, cause you to drive it to have an accident. The car's going to do it, but it could cause a defect and be more likely to have an accident. So why do we do that? So that it's checked, and if it doesn't pass its MOT, it's off the road. You have to also have insurance. Legally, you must have insurance, no matter what age the car is. Why? Because if in the event of an accident, there's money there to get the car repaired, or someone else's, or worst case, or property, or worst case scenario, harm to someone that your car has caused in the accident. You've got the general maintenance checks, the water, the tyres, the oil, keeping it clean. And some people can spend ages cleaning the car. I'm afraid not me. It's not one of my things. But if you spend ages polishing and waxing it, brilliant. But the thing with that is that you have a legal obligation to look after your vehicles, but you've got a moral obligation to look after your health. So we often spend a lot more attention to property than we do for ourselves. So what I'd like to do now is give you a wee chance to feel what it is to take control of your physical and improve your mental ability. So now I'm saying a wee word of warning here to Fiona and to Patrick when we were talking about just where we were sitting earlier on. You get yourself quite comfy. What I want everybody to do, if you're up for this, is I'd like you to sit in your chair now, to use a good Scottish word. I want you to have a wee shuggle, all right? A wee move around, have a good wee shuggle, and make sure your back, if you've got one of these fancy chairs that supports into your lower back, make sure you're in there. If not, just make sure you're sitting right back. And then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put your feet flat on the floor. If you've got your shoes on, you can kick them off if you want, or leave them on, whatever. And if you're like me, but what I'd like you to do, I'm always crossing my legs, so I've got to remind myself to uncross my legs, feet on the flat floor. Then what I want you to think about is get your shoulders nice and comfy back into the chair, if you've got a high enough back. And I want you to imagine your shoulder blades. Now, your shoulder blades are kind of positioned like this in the back. And here, like where our wrists are, is actually the pointy bit of the shoulder, giving it its apex, giving it its Sunday name, down there. And I want you to imagine these pointy bits of your shoulder pointing down into your waistband. So you let the shoulder blades point down into there, okay? Now, as you do that, anybody feeling this a wee, you can just give me a nod of the head. Is this getting a wee bit tight across here? Feeling that just a wee bit tight? Well, you see, what's happening there is that you've probably been sitting like this and not been aware of it. So if you've been sitting like that, as we often do when we're sitting at the online, what happens there is that your lungs aren't getting a chance to really work as well as what you want. So you want to be able to move them back. So sitting them in there, and therefore you drop your shoulders. Now, one of my wee phrases that I used to use for all my clients throughout everything that I've done is stop wearing your shoulders as earrings and drop your shoulders, right? So we want this nice gap between here and there, because quite often we're up here. Now, being Scottish, that's because our weather's usually cold and we forget to drop them. So if we drop the shoulders to here and then keep that open, and the more you do that, the more what you'll find is that you'll open these muscles up. See, you don't need to go to the gym for this. You just can do all this, just open up into here. And then what I'd like to do is we're going to work on our breathing. And you go, that's all right, Fiona, I know how to breathe. Well, I'd like you to breathe abdominally. down into the tummy area down here. And what I want you to do is I'm looking for you, and I'm going to stand up to do this. And I know I've not got a big enough screen, but I'll see if this probably doesn't work too much. But what I'm looking for you to do is just put your hands like that together over the abdomen area. Okay, so the hands are going to be like that, joining together, and just put them over your tum. So just pop your fingers pressing together over your tummy area, and that sort of downward spinal. And where we're aiming at is really just at the bottom of the lungs here. Then what I want you, and remember the shoulders, see mine's mounting up, drop your shoulders. Then what I want you to do is that I just want you to take a breath in. Now, when you breathe in, the tummy's to go out. And being a typical female for years, until I started Karen's Kalinetics, I've always breathed the wrong way. So I want you to breathe in, and as you breathe in, your tummy area, abdomen area will expand, and you'll find that the fingers will then part. And as you breathe out, you'll then find you'll do the opposite way, and the fingers will go back in. So let's just try that yourselves. And I want you to take a breath in. I'm not fussy about counting or anything now. Just breathe in. And then breathe out. Feel different to what you've never done before? Or if you're a yoga or a Pilates person, you'll be used to this. I'm just, but if you've never done it, it's quite good. And the reason I did this, because I tried this exercise with my husband last week, and he went, that feels weird. I went, yeah, because you've not been breathing right. But I was quite nice about it. So breathing into there and then breathing back. Now, what we want to do is use a different count of breathing. And the reason I'm doing this is that if you happen to be in an anxious state, what happens, as I said before, everything's on high alert. You want to pull that back. And one of the things to pull it back is that you start using a part of your nervous system to do that for you. So when you're in high alert, the nervous system that goes along with the increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, the breathing goes up, the eyes get open. It's known as your sympathetic nervous system. So the way I remember that, the way I used to teach the students was, it's actually in sympathy with you. Oh, you're stressed, you're feeling anxious, right? Okay, you want this, I'll give you all that. And then to calm you down, it brings another part of the nervous system known as the parasympathetic nervous system. And the way I used to remember that was that I had a lovely big para coming in to rescue me. So using that, it just then changes by changing that part in your nervous system. It calms the breathing down. And how does it do that? Breathe out longer than you breathe in. So you may have heard of this technique that we're just going to have a wee shot of doing. I'm just checking my time. I think have I got about a couple of minutes left? In there, you may have heard of 7-11 breathing. Anybody heard that? Or ratio breathing? Well, the 7-11 refers to breathing in for 7 and out for 11. Now, I'm going to put my hand up here and say I actually don't think that works if you've never done it before, because like any other muscle, you've got to be able to work with it and build the muscles up. And if you've never done this abdominal breathing, you're working with a diaphragm, your diaphragm, which is your breathing muscle. If you've never worked that, how can you expect to be able to, say, run a marathon without doing the training? You've got to practice. So as long as you're able to breathe out longer than you breathe in, that your parasympathetic nervous system is going to kick in. That makes sense? So can we have a couple of rounds of that, if that's okay? And then that's one that you can practice yourself. The reason it does that is that it will bring in relaxation. You'll be able to change your body chemistry and hopefully get yourself out if it's an anxiety situation. So let's just do 2 rounds to do that. And then what I want your hands on the tummy, and I'm going to get you to start nice and easy. First of all, breathe in for 3 and out for 5. So I'll count you in. So just breathe in for 3. 1, 2, 3, and then out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, do it again. In for 3. 1, 2, 3. And out for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just enjoy that situation of where you're at the moment. Just breathing normally, but just have that feeling of the breath as you breathe in, the abdomen area goes out. As you breathe out, the lungs then deflate and goes in. And just where you're sitting at the moment, I would like you just to concentrate on your shoulders, let them drop, enjoy this. And as a hypnotherapist, one of the things that I do is that I teach self-hypnosis. And I would teach you that breathing technique along with how to do the hypnosis yourself so that you build up this skill that allows you to do a self-help technique. People will use meditation. It is a form of that, but for me, it's a focused relaxation. And when you're in that relaxed state, that's when you're at your optimum. That's when you can create. That's when your mind's freer. That's when you're going to operate and work to your best. Like any other muscle, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. So don't be put off that you have to do things. Oh, it says 7-Eleven. You work up to that. As I say, you wouldn't expect to run a marathon with no training. So do your practice, enjoy your space. And just to finish up, as I say, thank you very much for allowing me to do this. I'd like you to take an idea, write down some other ideas that you have for relaxation, add to the ones that you've got so that you've got a nice wee portfolio. The more you can write down when you're in that nice optimum relaxed state, the more you've got a tool that you can pull on if you're then starting to feel anxious. So thank you very much for listening. I very much appreciate giving this chance to chat. Self-care, self-help, mind-body connection is everything that I do. I bring everything together and, as I say, run presentations and work one-to-one with clients. I always see it an absolute privilege to work with anyone. That has always been whenever I've started within massage hypnotherapy, and I'm always happy to chat about a passion that I have for this. So the question that I posed, does relaxation justify the hype? I hope now you think it does, because it makes a huge difference to your well-being. And I'll leave you with one of my phrases as well. One of these days I will all get these in a book, but my phrase is, relaxation isn't a nice to have, it's vital for life itself. Thank you very much.